Hi, welcome to my channel, Story Genius. I'm Jeremy, and today I want to share with you something that I'm very excited about. I've been working on for a long time, 3 years, is a musical. Now, it's a musical called Pauper, Pauper the Musical. It's based on this book, which was written by my cousin, the amazing author, P. Alexander. And I'm excited to share this with you. There's a link in the description to buy this book. I would highly suggest that you do that. We're going to talk about the book today, and we're going to talk about it in future videos as well. We're going to kind of go through the story. I would love to ask you to like and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to grow this channel as much as I can to share my experience with theater with other people, hopefully entertain people along the way. So any support you can give in that way is highly appreciated. It's based on a book, and the author of the book happens to be my cousin. So he wrote this book called Pauper, and his name is P. Alexander. When I first started reading the book, I was totally charmed by it. He had sent me, before it was published, he sent me his manuscripts. And I started reading the manuscripts, and I was just totally in love with the characters and the story, so much to the point that I was writing songs for the book before I even decided I wanted to write a musical about it. A couple characters, Pauper and Miss Polly, and I wrote like a little love song for them, and then there's a section in the beginning of the book that talks about cats and these ominous cats that are roaming about the town and causing fear among the mice. And I just started writing this song called Cats, and I'll put a link in the description to my demos that I have made. And at one point I thought to myself, this needs to be a musical. Why isn't this a musical? So I texted my cousin Pat, and I said, hey, how about Pauper the Broadway musical? And he was like, yes, so excited about it. So yeah, that's how I started to write the musical. And of course I finished the book, and I started to just chop it up with scenes and where this chapter should go here and this chapter should go there, and because it's set up in such a way that the chapters will bounce from perspective to perspective. And obviously that wouldn't do very well on stage, having a scene change every 2 minutes. So I would kind of order the chapters in one chunk and then order some other chapters in another chunk. And so that's how this musical came to be. Now let's talk about the characters. First we have Pauper. Pauper is who this book is named after, who the musical is named after. He's the main character of the story. And he's a lovable character, always wants to do the right thing. He doesn't necessarily think of himself as brave, although throughout the story he does find his bravery as he goes on a quest to help his lady love and neighbor, Miss Polly, as they are kind of running from authorities, realize that there's some corruption in the government. I won't give too much away, but so that's Pauper. It starts out with Pauper in the kitchen, and he's preparing a meal for practice. He wants to invite Miss Polly over to dinner, and he just can't quite get together the courage to do so. So next we have Miss Polly. Miss Polly is a wonderful character. She's strong, she's courageous, she knows what must be done, and she has the ability to carry that out, and she and Pauper work together very well in this way. In the beginning of the musical, she believes that she wants a quiet life, and by the end of the show her perspective is widened, and she realizes that she wants adventure as well, and that love is, in fact, the adventure. So there are some other characters too. There's an old cat named Corden. He lives in the house that this whole story takes place. And at one point, he had a human, and that human had to go away. So when Corden's human went away, he fell into a depression, and he didn't want to do anything. And so when things started getting worse in the government, he didn't have much inspiration to do anything about it. Next up we have Governor Wimble. Governor Wimble is a shrew, so he's not a mouse, and he is just the epitome of evil. He wants to have control over the towns, and so he has certain devices in place to try to maintain that control and gain more control. And we learn more about that as the story goes along. So we also have a great cast of ensemble characters as well. We have the mice of Castle Heights, and they care only about their fine dining and their chocolates and their clothing and their coffees, and they care nothing about the mouse who needs anything. We also have the counter. Now the mice from the counter are working class mice, and they do their work and they don't complain. They don't make a lot of money, but they have a lot of joy. And at one scene we have Pauper and Miss Polly enter the Common Cheddar House, which is kind of like a bar that serves cheese and milk. and we can see their joviality as they are going about their working lives and enjoying the moment as it comes. So there are plenty of great ensemble numbers in this show. There's some great solos for the main characters as well. And I've just had a blast writing this musical. So as I look back on my experience writing this musical, I have gone through so many ups and downs with it, just personally, emotionally, practically, and I've learned some lessons. So these are just some things that I've observed about myself, and if they can be helpful to anybody else, then that's great. I would love that. So the first thing I learned is that balance is super important. I have had a struggle with balance. I tend to go all in on something for a little while, and then maybe I'll get sidetracked on something else, and I'll go all in on that thing, and I'll get sidetracked for something else. One of the things I'd like to do in the future is find some hobbies that are not related to the arts that I'm hoping to produce. I would like to get into reading more. I would like to do some more of that, just casual reading, just for fun. I think something like painting would actually be really good for me, because it would allow me to find something that is fun to do and can take my mind off things that I'm not necessarily trying to get amazingly good at. I think that'd be a great way to balance out my life. Spending time with your family and your loved ones is great as well. I can sometimes get to a point where I'm so focused on my work that I'm not spending time just relaxing together and just being together, watching a show, that kind of thing. The next thing I'd say is very important is persistence toward the goal. Now, as I mentioned earlier, get sidetracked by so many things. I'll be interested in my musical, and then I'll be like, I want to make a film, and then I'll say, I want to make a record, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And before I know it, a year's gone by, and I barely put any effort toward my initial project, which in this case is a musical. If you want to achieve the thing that you're looking to achieve, you got to stay focused on that thing. And even when it feels like you don't want to do it, you got to still try. My next takeaway is something that I really connect with. That's finding your hero and studying their work. Now, for me, that looks like obsessing over their work, because I tend to obsess over things. But I'll give you an example. So my favorite lyricist of all time is Howard Ashman. And if you're not familiar with who Howard Ashman is, there's a great documentary on Disney Plus called Howard. He was an amazing lyricist. He had an amazing imagination. How do you obsessively study someone's work? Well, I'll probably make a video of this at some point, but what I tend to do is I'll just listen to the song that they wrote. So in this case, Howard Ashman, I'll listen to Part of Your World on repeat 15, 20 times. Really understand the material and listen while you're reading the lyrics. If you print them out if you want to, and just make notes of what you like and where he or she may have used, dang it, a light went out. Okay, well, let's reorient these lights. So you can take the lyrics and listen to the song at the same time and make notes of the types of literary devices they've used. Maybe they're using alliteration. Maybe you like their rhyming scheme. Maybe you enjoy the assonance that they use or something like that, or the consonants that they use. Basically, break apart their work and find what it is that you like. That's the biggest thing for me, is discovering what about their work I like and how I can not copy, because you never want to copy, but how I can internalize that and produce something of my own. So that's how you find your voice as an artist. Or at least that's how I intend to find my voice as a playwright. It's how I found my voice as a violinist. That's kind of my process. Next, I think it's very important that you find trustworthy artistic confidants. Is finding somebody who has an artistic talent that you appreciate and that you admire, someone you look up to artistically, that can look at your work and give you an honest critique, honest feedback. Now, you don't want to find somebody who's going to just rip apart your work and not give you any kudos and just tell you that, oh, it's terrible and you did this bad. You want to find somebody who you trust, that you have a rapport with, that you believe knows the craft, that can give you honest feedback. Now, the next one is kind of a little bit of the opposite of what I just said. My next piece of advice is to find a yes man or yes woman. So why is this important? For me, it's important because I need to have people telling me that my work is great. And because that helps keep me going. If I feel like my work is trash, then I'm not going to want to keep going. And when you have that person who gives you the honest feedback, that's super valuable. You need that. But I personally need a cheerleader as well. And my parents are excellent cheerleaders for me. The author of this book, P. Alexander, he's a great cheerleader for me as well. Somebody who just admires your work and tells you why they like it. The last thing that I've learned from this whole process of writing a musical is never lose sight of hope. Hope to me is one of the most important things to have. If you have no hope that you can create something you're proud of and something that you feel that can resonate with others, if you have no hope about that, you're going to just be dead in your tracks. At least that's how I would be. So do your best to not lose sight of hope. And if hope for you looks like I'm going to get this on stage for a reading, then you got to hold on to that hope. If hope for you looks like I'm going to get this in New York somewhere, then that's the hope you need to hold on to. And whether it actually comes to pass or not, whether it actually gets on stage somewhere, that's less relevant to me than the hope. If you can hold on to the hope, even if you end up deciding to put this project on the back burner and try a new project, you got to have the hope that at some point something you do will be something you're proud of, or that it'll get to a certain level of production that you want it to get to. I just think for me that's incredibly important to have hope. So what is my likely delusional dream? Well, if I'm being totally honest, it's to get this show off Broadway. I'm going to try to get it somewhere in New York. I have big dreams, and sometimes they feel a little delusional, but you know what? That's okay. If it never makes it anywhere, that's okay with me. At least I tried. At least I did what I could to make it happen. So that's my delusional dream. I'm going to try to get it off Broadway. That's my goal. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. It's been a great time for me to share this with you guys. Buy this book. I would highly recommend that you buy it. It's a great middle grade fiction novel. It's highly charming. It has great characters. The story is engrossing. It would be a great support to my cousin who wrote this. So yes, definitely go and buy it. It's worth a read. It's worth a reread. I've read it already 3 or 4 times, obviously, because I'm doing the project on it. So stay tuned. We're going to have a recording session coming up in 1 week of 2 of the numbers. So I'm extremely excited about that. I'm going to be posting the video of that on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, I would certainly appreciate your support in that way. I'm trying to make this just a catalog of my journey and hopefully provide some entertainment along the way. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you